Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to Inside Movies Galore. I'm your host, David Strege, and here I have another review for you. And it's from 2008, directed by um, James Adam Tucker, who actually he has a couple of films that were produced by David Sterling that I had picked up recently, but I decided to look up his filmography, and it turns out he did a film called Pink Eye, and this is a recent pickup for me. So here's the cover of it. It's definitely cool looking on the outside, and it's got a bloody, disgusting uh, quote on it. It says, "It's vicious and convincing, a lingering nightmare." Well, it's it's different. It's put out by Halo Bent Halo Bent Entertainment and Unit Shifter Films, and presented by Savage Rose Productions, along with Los Angeles Films. So we have a insane asylum that has a group of crazies. We have a family that seems like they are split apart, and a young going on preteen girl who is evidently having problems with the family situation that her mom and dad seem to be going through. Now, evidently, the young child has a friendship with a young man who he suggests for them to be like brother and sister so that she can call on him whenever he wants. Now, she evidently lives with Delilah, who evidently is the love of this man's life. Now, whether or not her mother, I believe that her mother is kind of a drunk, so you kind of see some of this in the background. But much of the story has to do with this insane asylum. Evidently, there was some kind of experiment that was going on. And we see a couple in the very beginning, we see a couple of nurses going into several of the rooms, and they suggest that they've done things with, some of the patients. And one of the patients ends up having a real bad case of seeing ants. So she literally pulls her eyes out because of this. Now, there is another story that is going on here where um, it falls in line with a character by the name of Edgar, who is played by uh, Josh Joshua James, which I believe not too long after this, um, the character who played Edgar might not exist anymore because the film is actually dedicated to this man, I believe. But Edgar is has a mask on his face, and it looks like his head is his entire head has like red dots on it. It's malformed. And so ultimately we get uh, a patient uprising up against the doctors, and a kidnapping of Delilah later on uh, by this patient, and he ends up. We hear quotations of Edgar Allan Poe and his lost Lenore uh, from this patient, as he seems to think that um, he needs a caretaker, uh, someone to be his muse or something like that. But ultimately, this ends up being a containment. This whole thing ends up being a containment thing for a a local medical board. So that's what's funny. What I like about this film is that it actually does have a little bit of gore in it. It it definitely did not um it definitely delivered on some out there killings, as it went on. I like how one of the characters um who plays one of the more pleasantly plump uh patients, how she gets excited that the character of Edgar is not one of them, and then he gives her the keys to unlock the other patients and whatnot. And there are some interesting patients in the I like how the film kind of set the crazy farm up with with some of the characters. So ultimately, I enjoyed this film. This was a weird one. I'm glad I picked it up, and I'm glad that I'm following the James Tucker filmography. I'm definitely enjoying his horror side. Now, I know that I have um, his Auntie Rose. I know I have two other films by him, so I will definitely try to get some reviews of uh, his films out there. Um, and hopefully you enjoyed my description of the film. Uh, I and this will be one of my favorite films. I actually think to rewatch because I love Edgar Allan Poe, and there was a moment where you got to see like the mother of this Edgar talking about how he had pink eye since he was very young, and I don't think there are a lot of films about horror films about pink eye, so I was definitely intrigued when I saw the title. In any case, like and subscribe to my channel. If you have seen this film, definitely let me know down in the comments what you thought. And yeah, definitely look out for some more cool reviews from me. I like to go on and describe films and my thoughts on them. If I stutter from time to time, it's because I have a lot of in my mind. So definitely thanks for listening, and enjoy the review.